for the nerds. This is for the brainiacs. This what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back. You ain't gonna touch me. You not gonna do nothing. You are not above me. I bet you wish you was me. I know it. I know.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a special Monday edition of the Only Friends podcast. It's not special because it's Monday. It's special because you're here. Shout out to the crew who's joining me today. Melissa, fresh off the birthday celebrations.
I know. I'm in my late 20s now.
Congratulations. You've
Officially
made it.
I made it.
You celebrated your
guys.
birthday by grinding $5 satellites?
I did play some of those. Yeah. Didn't work out.
Sure. Why would it?
Yeah.
I've noticed personally playing on my birthday cost me more money than playing on any other day of the year.
Well, I lost the satellite money, but then I think I won like 8 buy-ins in cash. So, you know, it's a give and take.
Okay, well, you're the privileged one. I usually go to the Brigada to play the WPT, get ejected out of there for 4 or 5 bullets, play 25-50, and lose somehow $50,000. That's been my routine for the last decade.
I know. I had that in my mind. Like usually people lose on their birthdays, but I always have to try and see if it's wrong.
Oh no, there's some scumbags out there who claim like birthday run good.
Nah.
Won a tournament on my birthday. It's like fuck you, man. Go eat some cake.
You
That's
did?
Conrad. You won a tournament on your birthday?
I've done pretty well on my birthday in the last few years.
Wow.
I was so happy for COVID. I didn't have to go to the Brigada ever again. I haven't played on my birthday in like 5 years.
Yeah. I almost
great.
never play on my birthday because it's like middle of August and just over poker at that point. You know, August is like a down month to play.
We'll all be in the Bahamas for my birthday this year.
Hopefully.
All of us?
I mean,
We're going?
those hotel rooms.
This is a
They're pricey.
Software sponsored trip?
a little pricey.
I mean, we'll give you a little discount. We're not going to pay for the whole thing.
I think
but
it should be probably a business expense.
Yeah,
Don't
it's
you?
a write-off.
We gotta get the tortoise down there to meet his people. You know, we gotta get him out on the beach.
Exactly.
That's right.
Collecting tortoise eggs.
Mm-hmm. Gotta get out there. And
Imagine like we do a show like on location at Baja Mar, and we're like, we have the tortoise on scene, and we just cut to him, and he's on the beach. He's like, thanks, Jim. I'm out here at the Baja Mar
Wow.
beach.
And there's like baby turtles
yeah.
being hatched.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love everything
I'm in
about
for
this.
that. I'm in for
Conrad,
it.
you're grinding information, or are you 6-tabling?
He looks like he's got at least one table up.
Nah, I just
He's on the email grind.
Nah, I was sending Hochstetler something funny.
Oh,
Somebody wrote in the chat, Dan Blazarian would play the Jack 4. So I hit up Jamie. I said, would you?
fucking goddamn Hochstetler. Anybody who's been watching my streams for a long time knows that reference. She absolutely wrecked me one day. Before we get started, I'm going to give you guys a quick rundown of the run of show.
Oh, fuck me, right? I'm not here?
Oh, bro.
I literally forgot.
That's no joke. I totally forgot he was here. I legit forgot.
You know what?
We all forgot.
Aaron Elias was asking about you, why you don't come back out to the East Coast so you could donate the fucking $50.
He took all my money. he took all my money. That's why. I'm sorry. I apologize, Christian. I truly did forget you were on the call.
Hey, Jen.
How's life in Jersey?
Oh, he's giving you the death stare, bro.
I don't give a shit if
That
he's
looks
giving
like
me
a
a
You wanna
Garrett
go meet by the
Adelstein
lockers and talk?
stare.
You got to be here to take me out to the lockers, sir. I'm looking forward to you getting back, young man. I appreciate you joining in. All right, before we get started, quick rundown of the show. We are going to cover a lot of the happenings over the weekend. So there's a big court case that is beginning today over the death of Susie Zhao. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Kim K's in the news. She's on that crypto shilling rug. Apparently she's got to answer a little bit for her advertising. The Steelers, baby, woo! They lost their 1-3. It's a rough start to the season. But
Jets, Jets.
Shut the fuck up, Conrad.
Yeah. Brighter days are ahead, Burr.
The Kenny Pickett era has begun. A phishing cheating scandal, and then some updates from Hustler Live. But before we dig into all of that, I want to remind you guys to please like, comment, subscribe. If you're here watching live and you want to chat, we have it set to subscribers only, so you got to click that bell if you want to chime into the chat.
Like.
We appreciate you as always. Also, new episode of Poker Out Loud is out today. If you guys have been watching last week, you might remember that we showed this graphic where I was in a weird spot versus Schwan with middle pair pairing, and I was asking how often to be leading the turn. The correct answer is 33%, and the wrong answer is what I did in real time, which was lead with ace-5 offsuit. So you are supposed to lead some aces, just not the one that I had. I end up getting wrecked. You can go ahead now to solveforwhy.io if you want to watch that episode, see how that hand fully plays out. Finally, quick reminder that we do have a Poker Out Loud Academy coming up in February. I know when I say coming up in February, that doesn't seem all that close, but it's the next one that we plan on running. So if you guys have any interest in attending the Poker Out Loud Academy, you can head over to academy.solveforwhy.io. The dates are going to be February 2nd through the 5th. It's a 4-day session. Day 1, day 3, we go over strategy construction, game theory principles, basically determine a set of protocols for how you can logically deduce what you should be doing in real time, how you can problem solve better at the table. And then day 2, day 4, you actually play a live game of Poker Out Loud where everybody is wearing noise canceling headphones. When it's their turn to act, they pause the music, they speak their strategy out loud, and then myself, Christian, Landon, Matt Hunt, we're in the booth. We are filling the gaps where nobody's speaking by correcting or congratulating the strategy that you exemplify in real time. So anybody interested in that, head over to academy.solveforwhy.io and feel free to get more information or sign up.
What better way to celebrate Groundhog's Day than with us nerds and brainiacs?
Man, the fact that you just know off the top of your head.
What, the February 2nd is Groundhog's Day? How does everyone knows that?
Everyone?
Does anybody else in this room know that? I didn't.
You're so
Punxsutawney
fucking
Phil.
white, bro. You are the whitest motherfucker I've ever seen. Dude, you're so white. Oh,
Dude, I went.
that
Listen,
is the whitest comment.
listen. I went to college like literally 30 minutes from Punxsutawney, so that was a big thing there.
It is true. Punxsutawney Phil is very big in the tri-county area of Yinzerville, if you will.
Can you spell
Indiana
that for
County.
me?
What?
Punxsutawney?
No, I'm not even trying. I wouldn't even make an attempt. Starts with a P.
PUNXATAWNY.
There you go.
I'm good with the PUNX. After that, like, no idea. Yeah, I grew up kind of thinking like Groundhog Day was local to us until the movie with Bill Murray came out, and I was like, oh no, this is just like a national
That
holiday.
probably made it more famous. And then now there's like spoofs and ripoffs. There's like a weasel or something that does something somewhere. Like it's Punxsutawney Phil's the original. Always will be.
The Paulo said college also peak white.
Fuck you, DePaulo. Fuck you and your chats.
Don't worry, Lamanda didn't make it too long.
Yeah, poker kind of got in the way.
There's definitely no degree hanging on his wall.
No.
He won the full tilt brawl.
And there's also no student debt.
That's true.
hanging over me either.
That's true. Picking a state school and only making it 3 semesters, real way to get off cheap.
I went 2 years, 2.5.
Okay. More than I thought. 5 semesters. Good for you. Okay, so let's first talk about this court case with Susie Zhao. So for anybody who recalls, I think it was like June of 2020-ish, somewhere in that area, Susie Zhao, a.k.a. Susie Q, she was a regular on the LA streams. She did some commentary on the bike. Pretty well-known grinder in the community. She was found brutally murdered and disfigured in Michigan, her home state. So I think the way this story goes was that she was found burned in the trunk of her car or something along those lines. I didn't realize an arrest was made. So this was news to me that this man was being held on trial. Jeffrey Bernard Morris is finally going to be set to go to trial today. This is roughly 2 years after it happened. I think COVID delayed everything a little bit. But he was arrested weeks after the murder occurred, which again, I wasn't really aware of. And I don't think we have any insight as to what the murder was surrounding or like what the relationship between these two were.
Motive.
Speculating. It easily, she was a high stakes gambler, so like it easily could have been loan sharking or something along those lines. But again, that's just complete and utter speculation. I have no clue whatsoever what it would be. It says that she had been burned alive and was sexually assaulted for her actual cause of death. The article I'm reading here from Poker News says police arrested Morris in the following weeks, who prosecutors alleged met Zhao at the Sherwood Motel and bound her with zip ties and then lit her on fire until she died, which
What
is
the heck?
wild.
Wait, they
That's
met at a
absurd.
motel.
So brutal.
Yeah. So obviously, like, I'm intrigued. Well, obviously, I want to see her get justice. So I'm interested
What a
from that
sick
perspective.
fuck.
But I'm curious to follow along on the trial as well to see the evidence that's produced against him. I'd like to know like what the motive was, like why was she meeting him at a motel, like all these things. I do think that there's a lot of I don't want to say good that can come from this, but there's a lot of relevance in the sense that our community is one, and if I'm learning anything through this whole hustler ordeal, it's that we are very insulated, and the outside world just has no fucking clue what's going on within the four walls of the poker community. So I do think that this serves a little bit as a warning to those of us in the community that are constantly brushing elbows with people who are maybe shady characters in some capacity, maybe have some sort of past. It seems like this guy had a violent history. And again, like I have no idea what their relationship was or how it happened. But, when it comes to high stakes gambling, a lot of that money seems to come from very nefarious places. And with that comes some really sketchy characters. So,
do a lot of people use poker for money laundering?
it's a great question. Probably. I talk about this, or I have talked about this a lot in the past. I've been playing poker for 20 years, mostly cash games. And for the better part of a decade and a half, maybe, cash was allowed to play on the table. So I almost never held anything other than strict cash.
Wow.
I don't know that I've come across a counterfeit, but I'm positive that I have, right? Like just sheer probability says that I have, but I've never actually found or caught one. So like, that's why I guess I say I assume money laundering is taking place in poker, but I have no idea because I don't engage in money laundering, just like I don't engage in counterfeiting, right? But by sheer volume of the amount of cash that's flowing through people's hands and the way cash in, cash out works in this business, it's ripe for it.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm unsure of is like, how do you make the money clean? Right?
Right.
I mean, I guess you can make it clean by claiming winnings. So like if you go into Ivy's room.
Well, if you convert it to chips.
Yeah. So like say somebody comes into Ivy's room and says like, hey, I have 100K cash. Can you give me chips? And I make that exchange.
Right.
And then they cash out 90,000 of it.
Yeah.
The cage is going to say, where did this come from? And he's going to say, oh, I just played 200, 400. And they're going to have no record of him buying in.
Right.
So they're just going to assume it's all winnings.
Yes.
Which, then they have the tax implications. So I don't know. I don't know why people money launder, to be quite honest.
Well, I don't know much about it, only from like TV shows and stuff.
Right.
Ozark.
So yeah, Breaking Bad, but it's like when they have a large amount of money, but it's off the books and they need to somehow get it on the books.
Yeah. Yeah. I would imagine
I'll tell you guys about her after.
He knows.
Man,
course,
the
the
one
dark
time for
side.
Dark
Dark
Side to
side.
come in and clear things
Enlighten
up.
us.
Get that hood up.
Yeah. Bring
Any
us into
money
the right
laundering
book.
experts in the chat? Could you
Yeah.
Call
Go ahead
in.
and just tell us.
any money laundering teachers?
Yeah, can you guys give us a course on how to wash money and why we would want to? Speaking of washing money, or maybe perhaps giving money back, Kim K's in the news
Oh, she is.
for our secondary favorite topic, which is crypto.
Yeah.
Seems as though she was paid, honestly, not even that much money, all things considered, for her.
$250,000.
$250,000 to
one
do
post.
a crypto ad.
Yeah.
Okay, so one post, that's nice. I wish somebody would give me $250,000.
Yeah,
for
that's
making one
below
post.
her going rate, as I think Melissa stated in pre-production.
Yeah, I've heard that they get anywhere from 500K to a
A
million
million
for like branded.
When you say they, you
posts.
mean the
Kardashians,
Kardashians?
Kylie,
Yeah.
Kim.
Yeah, I think she has. I mean, she has almost 250 million followers.
Yeah.
So it goes out to a lot of people.
Yeah. And that influence is strong.
Mhm. Yeah, so she, I think it was called Ethereum Max is what she was touting.
Right.
And yeah, she made the post, and the post said something along the lines of, "This is not financial advice, but my friends are getting into this cryptocurrency, and if you guys want to check it out, go ahead." She did put #ad in her post, but the SEC said that is not enough.
So they need to know how much money she's making.
They
as
need
well?
to know. Yeah, she needs to disclose. I don't know if she
How
needs to disclose the
invested she
exact
is.
amount that she got, but she definitely needs to disclose that she is being paid
Right.
to promote this said crypto asset. So she didn't do that. She just put ad, that they said that's not enough, and so they are. She reached an agreement with them. She said she wants to get this, over with and done with, out of the way. So she has to pay $1 million fine plus forfeit the $250,000 that she was paid for this ad, which I don't know if that goes back to the people that paid her to do the ad, or if it goes to the government. I suspect it probably goes to the government.
Probably.
Yeah. And she also cannot tout any crypto assets for the next 3 years.
That's going to hurt the pockets.
Yeah.
Well, from what you've read, would you rather buy Ethereum Max or Bitcoin Platinum?
I think I would go with the Ethereum Max,
You see
because
here
I trust Kim Kardashian
Yeah.
more than Phil Hellmuth.
The guy's the GOAT, man.
He is the GOAT.
He's never lost.
So you're gonna
Never
buy
lost.
Platinum?
Platinum, last time I checked, I think it's at 0.000.
Well, it's a stable coin, right?
It's very stable. It's been stable at 0 for a long
Yeah.
time.
So, it can't go down too much more.
This feels to me like so much of a gotcha type thing by it's the SEC that's coming
It's
after
the SEC,
right?
correct.
Who writes the fucking rules for how an influencer? I mean, I'm sure it's them.
There's laws in place.
Yeah, I'm
There's
sure.
absolute laws in place that says that when any kind of, whenever you're promoting any kind of security, or some sort of asset, that you have to disclose that you're being paid for it.
Ethereum Max is up 32% today.
Oh, I was gonna go with, yeah, for sure. Because
Yeah.
people just like, oh, what is this? Let
Any
me go check it out
publicity
and
is
buy
good
it.
publicity.
It really is.
I
That's
mean,
wild.
it's more true now than ever, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this has actually happened before. Floyd Mayweather was fined. DJ Khaled was fined. I think they said Steven Seagal. All pretty similar situations where they didn't disclose that they were actually being paid for what they were shilling.
Right. Yeah, maybe they just because it's being treated as if they were shilling stocks, right? But maybe they just don't see it like that, so they don't think to worry about the SEC.
Well,
Yeah,
even if
maybe
they are
not.
shilling stocks, they would still have to do the same thing.
It's the
right?
same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what she's saying is maybe they didn't think that
they didn't think it was the
crypto
same.
was the same as
Yeah.
stocks. So they were like, oh, maybe I don't have to
So here's
disclose
my
it.
question: is what she was shilling a coin or an exchange?
It's a coin.
Yeah, it's a coin.
Okay, so like,
It's an actual cryptocurrency.
I'm
but
looking
if she
at
was
it now.
if she was shilling an exchange or like Robinhood, for example,
Right.
not the same rules.
No.
I would think the rules
don't
would
think
have to be
so.
different, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Because it's a company versus a security.
Right.
Yeah, it is kind of.
You're because
Right.
she's giving actual investment advice to buy this actual asset.
In spite of
right.
leading with this is not investment advice.
This is not financial advice.
So
right.
Ethereum Max has lost 95% of its value since June 2021 when Kim Kardashian promoted it.
That sounds about right.
Do you think that she would have gotten penalized like this if it hadn't totally just like dropped to zero?
Probably not. I don't know.
It probably put it on their radar.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
think it put it much more on their radar. Yeah, I think, but it seems like the SEC is trying to crack down more on this. So they were saying that if you're an influencer out there and you are promoting these assets, you got to be very careful.
I'm
You gotta be very
interested where the
careful with
line's
how you do
drawn.
it.
Like, what if you do a podcast, or what if you're in the Wall Street Bets Reddit threads?
Well, it's weird, right? Because crypto, technically, insider trading is not against the rules. I mean, crypto is
Right, crypto's not
the same.
regulated by the SEC.
Yeah, so it is kind of interesting that
It
it's
all
still
has to
treated
go
the
with
same.
whether you're being paid to do it or not.
Right. That's why I said, like, so what about the podcast, right? So, like, say I build a podcast where it's literally, I'm going to give you my top 10 coins once a week.
Yeah. If you're being paid one of those top 10 coins, you're being paid for, you need to disclose it.
Right. But if you're just monetizing your podcast through this structure.
If you're just saying these are this is what it is, you're not being paid by
right. Like if you're Jim, what's his face on Mad Money?
Kramer.
Jim Kramer, yeah. Like he doesn't have to disclose all of these warnings.
No, but he might also be an actual financial advisor.
Yeah,
so then he can actually give that. Maybe he has a license.
He shouldn't be getting bribed to talk about certain things.
So if you're licensed, it's different.
Right. If you're an actual license, yes, then you can give financial advice. But all these people that you see all these crypto influencers, none of them are licensed. They just started a podcast.
Well,
they just started a channel.
License can be in jeopardy if you're telling people what to buy and you're financially motivated, right?
That's if you're not disclosing it, I would think. Yes.
Yeah. You know who Kim should have hired?
Who?
Sounds like she needs a metaverse lawyer.
Oh my god.
She does. There's one out there.
There is.
You're right, actually.
In the news a lot lately.
Mr. Liu
Shout out to
Esquire. Charles Liu. I mean, I'm just saying, like, I don't know what the fuck a metaverse lawyer is, but it sounds like this is right up his alley.
This
is some metaverse shit.
Yeah. So Kim, if you're watching, hit up Charles for some
I'm sure she's watching.
Is there an angle that we can take where we just like deny our current reality and just say like, oh no, don't worry, that doesn't matter. I was actually posting that from the metaverse.
I hope not.
You can try. I don't know. Try it.
Your rules don't apply to me, SEC.
I killed that man in the metaverse, not in reality.
Oh, crazy times. I wonder. Well, I guess that I was going to try to parallel this to the CoinFlex thing, but I guess that's different because that was an exchange.
Yeah.
It wasn't a coin. It was an exchange that didn't segregate its liquidity.
Yeah.
But they had their own token.
Yeah. So if you ever said, hey, buy this token, then it's your same thing.
Right.
You're on the hook then, I guess.
And how do you get off the hook? Just one last time for clarity's sake, if you lead with "I'm a paid sponsor."
This is our paid sponsor. So I
thought it was just putting hashtag ad, but apparently that's not it.
Yeah, it seems like Doug would be pretty safe.
Most of the crypto videos that I watch on YouTube, they all say, well, they always start with "I'm not a financial advisor." They always start that. But like, say they're going through whatever analysis they're giving, and then halfway through they want to do their ad, they'll say, and now we're going to talk about our paid sponsor, and then they'll say whatever asset it is.
Right.
So it's like they usually always preface it with, this is our paid sponsor, so you know that they're getting paid for what they're about to show you.
Yeah.
So you're not just being like, I trust this person, this person has 1 million subscribers on YouTube, I trust them, and now they're telling me buy this ad. You need to know that they're being paid to tell you to buy it.
Yeah, that seems
which is reasonable.
Seems pretty strongly that Doug would then be in the clear. I'm pretty confident that that's.
I think so. Yeah.
CoinFlex is our main sponsor. Yada yada yada. Well, fuck. If they can get Kim K, they can get anybody.
Yeah, they said that fine for her is equivalent to the normal family paying $100 because she's worth.
That reminds me, I got a speeding ticket. I got a speeding ticket like 2 months ago, I think, and I gave it to my assistant to take care of. And like, you hit up Kenny, whatever. I can't remember the lawyer here, but you pay $75 and he goes to traffic court for you and gets it changed to a parking violation, whatever. Okay. So you don't get points. And I had her do that, and he responded like through his automated messaging or whatever, an intern, saying like, okay, well, the date is like way down in the future. Don't worry about it, yada, yada, yada. And I'm just realizing now, like, I haven't followed up. I haven't paid anything.
You're saying there could be a warrant out for your arrest?
Do they put warrants out for your arrest for speeding tickets?
Absolutely.
Yes. Really?
100%.
Come get me.
I'm trying to remember all the tickets that I may or may not, like parking tickets I may not have paid.
They should literally have it.
I mean, they should text you or something if you have a warrant.
They should
also
text you.
look,
Because like I don't know, like I could have one, like I don't know, but like text me so I know. Don't call because it'll
Yeah.
be screened. And
Yeah,
I
of
won't
course.
Get it. Like,
also,
just text me and say you
also,
have a
I mean,
warrant.
this sounds like a great way to set up another scam.
I
Like,
know. I
Marley's
I
getting
do get
Target
those
gift cards as we speak
Yeah.
to pay off a speeding ticket.
The
she has not
IRS
about.
is after you.
Yes.
I'm like, maybe.
There's a warrant out for your unpaid parking ticket. Please click this link
Right.
and pay it.
Right.
What they should do is
And Target
they
gift
should just
cards.
acknowledge that speeding tickets are not for the benefit of mankind and policing things, and that it's just a money grab. And then just have a credit card swiper with the officer where he comes up to your window and goes, look, I got you going 85 and a 65. It's going to be $225. If you pay $300, we'll change it to a traffic violation. Would you like to pay debit or credit?
I heard they had that in Georgia.
Sure.
I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure I read an article that happens in Georgia.
You could
They
just
can
pay
do-
right on the
should.
spot.
You can pay right on the spot.
Wow.
It should.
yeah.
Do you know how many times I just wanted to be like, I have $200 here right now. Can I give this
know.
to you? And it's not a bribe. I
Yeah.
just don't want the paperwork.
Yeah.
Yo, could
Exactly.
you
That's how
imagine?
it works in DR, bro.
Yeah, well, that's,
Literally, the Dominican Republic, you just pay the
There
guy
comes
right
dark
there,
side.
You're, gone.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Yeah, could you imagine getting a fucking text message or a phone call? You have a warrant out for murder. Please go to your local precinct. Like,
Please come outside.
man, do I want to tell this story on air?
Yes.
Boy.
Do it.
Well, you've come this far.
Oh,
You
no.
can't say
It's
that.
such a bad
And
one.
then
Let's
tell
go.
Okay, so this must have been like 2009, 2010, something like that. My sister and I got into like a heated argument at my grandmother's, and it resulted in like
Oh, I know this story.
it resulted in my grandmother trying to like get in between us, and my sister like was basically like kicking and flailing, and she accidentally kicked my grandmother. My grandma split her head open. I had to take her to the hospital. Yada yada yada. It was all a series of unfortunate events, but it was a heat of the moment kind of thing. So after that happened, my sister's 5'4", something like that. I literally like picked her up and took her outside and locked the door. I was just like, enough. So I tried to de-escalate it as best I could, whatever. So she was furious at me, and she has quite the anger and wanted to get back at me. So she went and I guess I like bruised her arm when I picked her up, and she went and showed the local police, and they showed up at my grandma's house the next day, and I was at my dad's grinding a full Sunday schedule. So like I had stars, full tilt, everything up. I was already pre-reg for like 30 tournaments or something like that. My grandma calls and she goes, "The police are here looking for you." And I go, "Why?" And I remember at the time, like my mom was making things like insanely worse. Like she was very strung out or whatever. And like while I was at the hospital with my grandma, she was just making a huge ordeal of this. And I felt like she had a lot of influence in things escalating. So I'm just like, why? Like, what the hell's going on? And she's like, I don't know. I just told him you're not here. I'm like, okay, this is not the way to handle this. But now I'm like freaking out, And she's like, they're looking for you. They want to take you in. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. So I text my dad. He's like, well, we should just drive down there and like, voluntarily surrender. So I click unreg on like 30 events. I'm already in and blinding out of like another 4 or 5, right? And we go in and, they basically tell me the statement that my sister gave of like domestic abuse or something like that. And I'm just like, okay, well, that's literally not what happened. You can go speak to my grandmother. She has 5 staples in her head. Like, there's evidence that this is he said, she said, and, it's not correct. And he's like, and they're like, okay, well, we need to detain you. And I'm an idiot. Like, they're not charging me with anything.
Right.
I could have just left.
Yeah.
But I'm Mr. Goody, bow down to
Yeah, she's like, do what you gotta do,
yeah,
man.
I'm just like, okay,
you
like
gotta
I'm
do.
innocent. Do whatever you have to do. No big deal. So they throw me in a holding cell. They took my shoes, so I didn't like hang myself, I guess. And it's like it was like Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, they don't know what they're dealing with. I mean, they're just
No,
going
yeah, of
off
course. They're going
what-
off protocols. It's
right,
fine.
of course.
But it's like Labor Day weekend, right? So it's Sunday, the day before a holiday. And I'm in there and I'm just like, okay, what's the procedure? They're like, oh, well, we have to get a justice of the peace to hear the charges and decide if you're under arrest or not. And I'm just like, okay.
Tuesday
Like,
morning.
are we going to do that now? And he's like, well, it's a holiday weekend. We probably won't be able to get anyone until Tuesday. And I'm like, let me out of here.
Yeah.
I'm like, too late.
Too late.
And I'm like, the fuck? What do you mean too late? And I'm freaking out. They're like, you're a flight risk because you live in Vegas. And I'm just like, well, you have my address.
Yeah, like, you know where I'll be.
Come find me.
You're out of the jurisdiction by that point.
Right, of course. I mean, it's like Allegheny Township Police or whatever. So I'm freaking out. Like somehow I just got myself stuck in here for 48 hours.
Oh man!
But like somehow they pulled up a Zoom call and were able to get a JP on Zoom. And they basically like told both sides of the story. And he just like looked at me and looked at them and goes, let him out. And that was that. So it was a very, for younger me, it was a terrifying thing. Like I've never been in trouble before, and I certainly didn't necessarily know how to handle it. But it's one of those things where, like, looking back in hindsight, volunteering myself up, it seems like it was the worst idea.
I don't think you really volunteered yourself up. Being detained, I think they have a right to keep you.
Yeah.
If they
For
say-
24 hours.
Yeah. Like if they say you're being detained, like you have
You're
no
detained.
choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. For
It's the same-
Because
it's
when
the
you
same as
say,
being
"Am I
arrested."
being detained?" and they say no, then you can leave.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I don't know the law fully, but I think that they get to, judging off of how much CSI I've watched, I think that they get 24 hours, but I also think like you have the opportunity to like lawyer up and can get released within that 24-hour stretch. Like, I don't think it's just with impunity that they can keep you, but maybe I'm a little bit off. Either way, my flight was the next morning. Like if I had just grinded out Sunday, they weren't going to come to my dad's and find me, and I would have just been on the first flight out in the morning, and
Next
that's
week,
that.
2 weeks later, you got a text message. You
Yeah.
are wanted.
You have a warrant.
You are wanted. But yeah, that's kind of what happens whenever you're in a town of 2,000 people.
Yep.
Shit like that goes down. Speaking of Pittsburgh, okay, I'm torn. I saw something very, very exciting yesterday.
Yes,
Me
very
fucking
exciting.
too. And it happened in Pittsburgh too, you know.
Should we just let him have his moment?
Have your
it out of the
victory
way.
so I can tell
Get
you
it out of the
why
way. Get it out
why
of
it
the way.
doesn't matter.
Why?
Go ahead.
JETS. You guys
You
are
can
talking a
spell-
lot of shit. You know, you guys saying you were gonna win, you're gonna do this. You ended the show that the Steelers were gonna win, and now you're gonna go like run it back and say, "Oh my God, our quarterback is so good. He played so well." No, you got your asses kicked. You got fucked up. End of story.
Nobody
JETS.
who
Jets.
watched that game thinks that
Jets.
anybody's ass was kicked.
Jets.
That's for sure. I mean, I would be about as proud of that victory as a Jets fan as I am as a Steeler fan beating the Bengals.
Yeah.
I can't imagine a less deserved victory.
Anytime someone gets one over on the Steelers, they gotta,
yeah,
you know,
how it is.
it's the
I mean,
Steelers. so
these
it's-
guys.
Yeah.
They're
Right.
all over it.
Mhm.
I mean, it's funny. I was watching the game and I was thinking to myself, like, the Jets suck so bad. I'm sad that this is a home game. I was just like, oh man, I wish they were like on the road. Like, this is gonna be such an easy win.
See, I didn't think that.
Fucking trap game, man.
No, I mean, if you watch the beginning of the first 3 games, they were not. Like I was holding back, so it was just like watching this game. It was probably about through the first quarter, maybe, and I was just like, okay, I've went through the 5 stages of grief,
Right.
and I've come to I come to accept.
Oh, this is what happened
the
to me after the
Steelers-
game ended.
that the Steelers
great.
just suck. I was like,
no,
they're
they stink.
bad. They suck. I've accepted it. I was like, okay, they're just going to suck this season. I mean, it's apparent. Like, watching them is painful. And then the second half happened.
Mm-hmm.
And all that went away.
Yep.
I was like, oh my God, they're a brand new team. Yes,
Yeah.
get Kenny out there.
what I concluded is that Mr. Biscuit sucks.
Yes.
Melissa, you were
Limp
way off.
Bizkit.
You were way off on your read.
What do you mean? My read said that he hadn't proven himself.
Okay,
No,
that's
he-
fair.
he
You're
has
right.
not.
You are correct.
I
did
said
not
that he
prove
had a
himself.
big ego, but hadn't proven it yet.
Okay, you're actually right. Okay, you know what? I apologize.
Spot on.
Your
I was
read
spot
was
on.
spot fucking on.
I know.
This guy
They always are.
stinks,
Oh,
man.
Yeah.
He absolutely stinks.
Sorry, I did steal Michelle's joke, but Limp Bizkit is a perfect way to describe him.
Yeah. This guy stinks. In 3 weeks with George Pickens, who might be the most phenomenal rookie wideout I've ever seen.
He's fun.
He had like 3 catches for 60
Yeah.
yards or some shit.
Yeah.
In the second half.
He already had more targets in the second half.
In the second half, he had 5 for
part of it.
75 with Pickett.
Yeah.
And like these two just look like they belong together. They're a match. I mean, this is Ben AB. This is well, fuck, Ben was there forever. Ben Hines Ford.
Yeah. This
You
is
really
something that
gotta
we
tip your hat for them having a strong
Steelers
game
fans.
today.
Here's a 3rd and 4.
Yeah,
Pickett
baby.
throwing sideline.
Look at this
Back
guy,
shot.
man.
Catch is made. Is it
He's
inbounds?
nasty.
It is. George
Like,
Pickens.
as a Jets fan, you want George Pickens on your team?
George Pickens is going to be one of
Oh,
the
what
best.
a connection.
Are we
Deep
doing
in Pittsburgh territory. And
George Pickens is going to be one of the best wide receivers that ever plays the game.
He's
But
great.
on the other side of that, he's going to be on another team in 3 years doing it.
No.
And he's never going to play for the fucking Steelers, and he's not going to win a Super Bowl there. He's going to win it somewhere else.
We're not talking about the Pittsburgh Pirates. We're
Right.
talking about the
We
Pittsburgh
sign
Steelers.
people, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, the Steelers are done for the next decade.
No. Oh my God.
Decade.
Bro, they're
Gone.
so talented.
Make a bet now.
Yeah, bet me.
Guap, I just sent you a tweet in the on Discord. This is already probably known, but breaking news: Steelers are expected to move forward with rookie quarterback Kenny Pickett.
Let's go,
sources says,
dude.
As the first rounder is set to replace Mitch Trubisky in the lineup. Pickett saw his first action on Sunday
Let's
and
go.
is slated to be the QB moving forward.
Let's go.
So
The
we knew
Pickett
that,
era
but
is
the
upon
Pickett era
us.
is officially here.
Kid played great. Came in, threw 2 picks. Fucking great game. Let's give him the starting role. Great.
He threw 3 picks.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, he threw 2. Trubisky threw 1.
No, but the
Oh,
last
to
play
end
of the
the game.
game,
Yeah,
was
yeah.
technically a pick.
Yeah.
All 3 of them, one was an ill-advised throw for sure. The other
That
one was
one
a Hail
definitely cost
Mary,
us the
doesn't
game.
count. And then the other one was just Claypool not trying hard enough.
They were both off tip balls.
Yeah.
But the one to Freiermuth on the sideline, that cost us the game. Like, all he
really
has to do
did.
is manage the clock there.
It really did cost us
Move the
the game.
chains. You can take the sack. It's fine in that spot. Like,
Yeah.
no harm, no foul. But
Somebody in the chat just said it, but I want to talk about it for a second.
I don't know.
If you were to see the name George Pickens,
Yeah.
what would you think this person looked like?
I mean, it sounds like somebody from the Andy Griffith show.
Yeah, like pushing 90 in a wheelchair,
Yeah, just some old dude.
whistling, playing the fiddle. Do, 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 do.
Melissa, have you seen Conrad's fiddle yet?
I have not.
I bet you George Pickens knows
Wow.
exactly when Groundhog's Day is.
Oh, Chin, it's good to hear from you, buddy. I forgot you were here. You know what it is I don't have your video on my computer, and I need to do that from now on moving
Just
forward.
so you can see him.
That way I
I'm
can.
glad your sister snitched on you, bro.
Now you know where it comes from, man. I didn't even do
That was just a
anything.
family of snitches.
I didn't even do anything. Speaking of snitching, somebody snitched on this dude in the fishing tournament.
Oh my God.
Yo,
Bro,
that shit is wild.
how is it like this has to be a thing for like decades, right? Like this is the
Yeah.
easiest cheat of all time.
They've been at
Sounds like
the
it.
top apparently, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, fishing's there's a lot of cheating in fishing. My uncle is a red fisherman. He fishes the tour, and or he did until he got cheated out of like a boat and whatever prize money. But yeah, people usually like put fish in a box like the night before, leave them out in the water somewhere, and then go pick them up.
Wow.
That's sharp.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like
That's sharp.
there's a lot of shit that people
So I
do
guess
in-
there's
to
some
cheat.
money though too, because they've won. I read somewhere, I don't know what period of time it was, but it was 300K that they had won from tournaments.
Yeah, there's all right
From
money.
what I can tell, there's more money in fishing than there is in bowling, in pickleball, in cornhole, like all of the.
I mean,
Yeah.
Well, I
It's
mean, we're
true.
talking about like of the non-mainstream sports, like fishing
Okay.
seems to be the biggest.
No,
Yeah.
there's a decent amount of money in fishing.
You win boats.
Yeah. Like there's a lot. You want to know why? Because there's sponsorship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Exactly.
There's sponsorship. These boat companies sponsor a lot of these tournaments and stuff, and then a little bit of prize money. And
Probably all
boom,
the fishing supply
everybody wants to
places.
fucking cheat and fucking put weights in fish and shit.
Yeah, like in cornhole, there's no expensive product.
Yeah.
In pickleball, the most expensive thing is like a $200 paddle.
Right.
Yep.
In fishing,
And that's only if you're fucking bougie. The $200 paddle.
yeah. In fishing, there are outboard motors,
Yep.
boats,
Everything.
all of the equipment is expensive as fuck.
Yeah.
Like it's like golf. You get a lot of high end sponsors because it's a high end sport.
Yep.
Right.
Why were Why were they putting fish fillets in the fish?
Maybe to cover up the balls so that it wouldn't fall out.
Yeah, they're trying to make it gooey, maybe.
Yeah.
So like when you touch it.
Oh yeah.
So when you touch it, you wouldn't feel the weight.
Right.
You
That
feel the
makes
fish.
sense.
You feel the inside of the fish.
Right. It just feels like more fish.
Right.
And so the craziest part about that whole thing is like, if they were doing this for like a year plus, whatever. Like, how many times did they have the same size fish as somebody else, and they're just looking?
It just weighs twice as much.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong. There's the disease that fish get. It's called spina bifida or something like that, and where they get this like fucking growth on their back, and they're just huge. It's like twice the size. They could be literally twice the weight as this fish, like almost the same size.
But looks the same size, yeah.
Yes, but yeah, I don't know.
Roll that clip, Guapo. These guys are psychos, man.
Where's the other one? Fucking death, motherfucker. Call the fucking cops. Listen to me right now. Everybody listen to me right now. Jake, I want you to leave. I don't want anybody to touch these guys. I want you to leave. You need to go to jail. Jason, you should come to the cops. Tell the cops. It's theft. It's theft. You fucking, this is bullshit. Turn him into you done this, motherfucker. You fucking piece of shit. Don't we need to file a police report? Yeah, I would. Jason, we got to file a police report. Every fucking one. Every single fucking thing. Every you fucking champ, dude. I mean, we all fucking knew it. What the fuck, man? Fuck yeah, they've been doing this whole fucking time. Hey, you got a filleted fish. Look at this is a fillet, yeah. A filleted fish. It's a walleye fillet. He needs to go to jail. You have anything to say, Jerry? You call the cops. I got video. I'm just saying. You got anything to say? Hey, you guys didn't refund all that fucking money. You fucking talk shit to me, dude. And that's what you fucking do. How many fucking waste are there? You fucking scum. Fucking piece of shit. Take pictures. I need pictures. You videoing this whole thing? Got video. Yeah. I videoed it right off the rip. I'm just making sure. Hold on, let me take pictures. You fucked over a lot of people, man. They've been doing this shit for years. Cheating motherfuckers, man. Us out of Piece of fucking shit. I know that. You got a fucking boat. You got thousands of fucking dollars. You stole from
NASCAR, fishing. You don't mess with rednecks, man.
Nah, these rednecks is about to fucking kill that man.
Yo, are you allowed to say that word?
Redneck?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm half white, yeah.
That's I don't know,
Is it a
man.
bad
I'm not allowed
word?
to say anything anymore, so
What?
you can't say that.
Why? You know, it just means that they got sunburn on their neck because they're really
Nah,
white.
Come on.
Yeah, that's what it means because they're really white.
Yeah.
They work out on the farms.
Mhm.
They're outside all day.
They fish.
They fish. I grew up in redneck territory. Like, yeah, I'm allowed to say it.
Well, we've seen, what we've been talking about for the last week, and it just goes to show, like, anytime there's money involved and it's a competitive environment, someone's gonna there's gonna be someone out there who's gonna try to cheat, who's gonna try to game the system, right? So if you're in any kind of competitive environment where there's a cash prize, even when there's not, people are gonna want to win too. So they just always be on the lookout. There's gonna be fucking lead balls and fish.
Yeah.
God knows what.
Yeah, I mean, all things considered, they're playing for small amounts of money.
I mean, hundreds of thousands.
I mean,
of dollars.
hold
It's not
on.
But that's over a long period of time.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Each
also,
tournament is like, $50K, $40K,
Yeah,
a boat.
you win a
So
boat. A boat's gonna be
that's a
100,000.
significant amount of money
You're
to
so
these
jaded
people.
to dollar
You are
amounts.
so
Yeah.
jaded because like this is a lot of
That's
money
a
to
ton
a
of money
redneck in the
for
country.
normal people.
It is a lot of money.
Can I finish my segue now?
Sorry.
Okay, thank you. What I was going to say is
Comparatively.
Hustler was playing a game with $4 million on the table, you cocksuckers.
All right. Fair enough.
Relatively speaking, they're playing for small prize pools and go to, well, I wouldn't even say extensive lengths to cheat. Finding lead balls and stuffing them in a fish seems Pretty easy.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, those looked like sinkers, like big sinkers.
Is that what that was?
That's what that was.
So like they're just taking fishing equipment and kind of like using it to the best of their interest. But if we were to measure this in dollar EV, it's high, right? It's super high.
Yeah.
Now imagine that you're playing in a cash game where there's 3.5 million on the table,
Right.
and nobody's doing anything to secure the system outside of seizing phones and maybe locking the door where the information is coming in. This is where we're at, right? And this is kind of the conversation I want to have about 3 days removed, so to speak, from the scandal that happened at Hustler. I want to shift the narrative a little bit in this direction, not because I want to point blame or point fingers at anything. We don't even know if cheating occurred, right? For all intents and purposes, the jury's out, right? Like, I've seen some shit that leads me to believe that Robbi and Rip are at a minimum lying about something. Their body language, the way they carry themselves, it all seems to me to align with people who are kind of caught in a lot. There's so many inconsistencies, so many. And that hand, every single time I watch it, I just keep coming back to like, it's impossible. It's just impossible to play this hand in this way. Like, no one in that game is rich enough to care that little about $130,000 or $100,000, whatever it was to call off. Like, no one. And I don't care how much of an amateur you want to paint her as. Like, I just have such a strong, visceral feeling that something doesn't sit right with me every time I watch that hand. Now, I say that with a huge caveat because I've also watched a lot of other footage, and I haven't found a smoking gun. I've seen certain things that may lead us in the direction to believe, like, okay, this could potentially be a device, or that water bottle is sus as fuck, man. Like, why is it always there, and why is it on the table? That demonstrates how poor the protocols are for the live stream in general. Like, even that you would allow a foreign object of any sort. The reason you take the phone is so that you can create a sterile environment and know for a fact that nobody's on their phone. Right? Like, it's not that cheating with a phone is so easy, because it's not. It's just that if you create an environment where everybody's on their phone, then it creates reasonable doubt as to what the phone is being used for, right? Having a water bottle on the table, it's like, it's already bad news for your RFID readers and stuff like that, if that were ever to spill. But it's also just another object. Like, they're false bottom water bottles, like something could be hidden in there, whatever. So there's a million things that I keep getting tripped up with in this whole story that make me sway one direction or the other. It's like, there's a huge part of me that just wants to believe that she is just splashing around and doesn't give a fuck about the money because she's free rolled and, said, YOLO, fuck you, Garrett. Like, I'm standing up with you. But it's also just like, they played enough hands where she had better spots to kind of take a stand than Jack High. I can't get over, like, nobody ever arrives at that call. And yeah, we can lean on I thought she had Jack 3, but the more I watch, the more evident to me it is that the only thing I'm certain of is that she knew she did not have Jack 3.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, that's the one thing that I will absolutely hang my reputation on, and I know we'll never be able to prove it, but like, I am of the utmost confidence that there is absolutely 0% likelihood, or as near zero as possible. Sorry, nothing zero. But
and the main things that are leading you to that conclusion is that she looked back and her comments afterwards.
She looked back multiple times. It's a very clear 2-card look back. So this story of I was only looking for the Jack of clubs, like, this is all just after the fact type of rhetoric that
because once we can almost with a lot of certainty say that she knew she didn't have Jack 3. She knew she didn't have the pair. Then that takes a giant chunk out of her side.
Correct.
Giant chunk.
Correct. And a lot of this to me is like watching. I said this on the air last week. It's like watching a 7-year-old try to explain a lie away, right? Like, they told a tiny little white lie, and it just keeps festering and growing, and they just keep altering their story and manipulating it as if the previous details that they leaked don't exist. So now the next logical thing to say is this, and they just go with that and run with it. And that's been the inconsistency at Robbi's story the entire time. So, like, all of this misinformation that she keeps throwing out and how inconsistent all the stories are, along with the actual physical actions that she takes, where she looks at her cards multiple times before committing 6 figures with Jack high, it's just too improbable for me, right? It's just too improbable. Does that mean she cheated? I don't necessarily think that. I don't want to jump to that conclusion, but I do agree with you that it's imperative moving forward. We dissect this from the angle of she did not believe she had Jack 3, because that's going to be the lens that actually opens this up to a true investigation. But enough about that. I don't want to give my thoughts anymore on that. I feel like I've exhausted them. Would love to hear from Melissa. You've kind of been seeing this from afar the entire time.
I know. I kind of am intentionally keeping like a bit of a distance from it, because I just think there's a lot of, I don't know if that it's so productive what everybody's doing. Maybe it is, but I just think seems like there's more information that we need in order to like come to any conclusions. I feel like a lot of what's going on is just very speculative, and when there's a lot of room for speculation, I think people tend to kind of see what they'd like to see. And I've noticed one thing that it is showing me is poker is alive and well.
That's for sure.
Because I'm reading some of these tweets from people who, you know, like don't play or maybe have played a few times, and it's, first of all, it's very interesting how people like can make such decisive statements on this situation, having never sat down to learn anything about poker. Like, I'm seeing a lot of viral tweets, and a lot of them are taking a very like feminist spin, because I think, and even my childhood friend texted me, was like, did you see this guy's a huge pussy, and like it's like he just never played poker in his life, but like this is sort of what the normie take is. And I don't know, because even me, like I find myself in terms of like game integrity, and I think that the gut feeling that longtime pros have in situations like this is worth a lot. Like, they've seen so many hands, they've been in so many games before, like they've been cheated before, so on and so forth. So I find myself like taking that as a pretty weighted aspect of this, where a lot of people who I consider to be sharp and very familiar with this game and familiar with the, you know, the dark underbelly of the game, then they're saying that they think that there's cheating going on. Like, I am inclined to at least consider that without just being like scoffing it off, as I see like a lot of the public doing. But on the other hand, like I don't know, there's not enough information for me to like know either way. I don't know how there's enough information for anyone to know.
I don't think, yeah, I mean, there's not
a lot
enough.
of people seem very certain, and I'm just like, how?
I mean, yeah. Basically, all the pros that are very one way to the not cheating, those are the people that we're going to run triples on for the rest of life. So, yeah. I don't know. I think there's not enough information to tell, but compiling data points of what the fuck's going on here is, you know, it's not evidence of something happening, but it tells a story, and that story might lead us somewhere.
Go ahead, Chin.
No, I was just acknowledging the dark underbelly of the game.
Oh. I thought you were trying to interrupt Melissa.
No, I was just saying hi.
Okay. Kind of like pulling on that thread a little bit, Melissa Burr put out a tweet today that I think is kind of important as far as like separating the narratives that are beginning to form, because I do think the fact that this has gone national, viral, mainstream, whatever you want to call it.
It's become a mainstream talking point for people to like show, like if people just, when they are functioning from a space of identity politics, like they just see any issue and they're like, this is, look.
Right, they can reframe it into their narrative.
So it's just like annoying, honestly, and I'm glad that people like Melissa Burr and like Liv Brie are saying like, hey, I'm a long-term female high-stakes poker player. Like, stop. Because it's just like, you're not helping us. Like,
Right.
you're really not.
So I think that like her message is actually like very well formulated. So she says, sometimes it's important to say things that people won't like. As a former high stakes poker female, I say this with extreme confidence. I hate weighing in on poker topics relating to females, mainly because most people have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. More often than not, it leads to vicious comments, hateful DMs, people attacking my appearance and telling me I don't know shit, despite being a female who's played multiple sessions requiring $100,000 worth of buy-ins spanning over a decade. With that said, it is my opinion that the poker professionals who are following and analyzing this drama surrounding the HCL live stream have done so with a critical lens regardless of gender. This includes most notably Doug Polk, Joey Ingram, and others. People smell smoke and want to scream fire. I get it.
Yo, Melissa, you gave us the others? Come on, man. I'm going to text her right now. That's crazy. We get others?
Chin's pissed.
People smell
Go ahead,
smoke.
continue.
They're only friends.
Thank you, Chin. Thank you. People smell smoke and want to scream fire. I get it, but this ain't it. So go ahead, fill up my mentions with hate and tell me how much of a feminist I am not. I don't give a fuck. This whole thing is a circus, but she's being treated as a poker player by the people analyzing, as she should be. The reason this is important is because if we keep screaming fire as it pertains to women in poker, we muddy the water for the real problems that do exist. I want to continue to advocate for the real problems women face daily in poker because they do exist and they are pretty bad. So I want to unpack that a little bit because I think that that's ultimately the framework that I want to operate under as far as the discussion goes today. She kind of she did lump us into the others, and that's fine. She speaks largely to the incentives behind keeping this conversation going. And I tweeted about this earlier today as well. I actually quote tweeted her. And I said, the biggest takeaway from this whole thing should be security, right? It's not, I said this in pre-production. I don't care that much about proving Garrett guilty or Garrett innocent. I don't care that much about proving that Robbi is cheating or that she did not. Like, I want one of those binary outcomes to occur so that we have closure as a community as a whole. But what I care the most about is getting down to the nitty gritty of, was there a breach of security, and if so, how, right? Even going back to the Apostle thing, I see that as being like one of the biggest victories that we've had in the public space as far as live poker goes. Mm-hmm. And we didn't get the guy, but I don't care that we didn't get the guy, right?
We want to get the guy, but it's not the main
I truly
thing.
don't give a shit. I feel bad for the people who lost money to him.
Right, of course.
But as far as the community as a whole goes, it doesn't matter that Apostle is still out free, right?
Yeah.
It just doesn't.
I get what you're saying.
It just doesn't. He's broke. He can't pay his debts. It doesn't really matter. And the reason why it doesn't matter is
he's getting justice in a different way, is what you're saying.
The community as a whole is because, or should be, where we failed was the actual execution, right? What the Apostle investigation allowed us to understand is how negligent we are with our current systems in place. Outside of any stream that operates in Nevada or New Jersey, who actually have oversight from gaming, so PokerGo, WPT when they used to run in Jersey, that's really it as far as I know. WSOP,
essentially.
Yeah, they follow strict protocols that make it damn near impossible to breach their security. That's not to say that it is impossible. It's just to say that they have something in place to make it difficult. Now, anytime you're talking about cybersecurity, whether you're talking about online poker, live streams, or anything else, there's always incentive to get the money, and there's always going to be some sort of backdoor opportunity to do so through the security. There will always be weak points, right? So it's not a matter of if, but when. And what we don't know, but I would hope is true, is that streaming entities like PokerGo, like WSOP, like WPT, have protocols in place for when there is a breach in security. So if there is suspected cheating through their system or otherwise in a live stream game, they have protocols. Do we stop the stream? Yes or no? Do we, how do we go about investigating? I have a list, a very short list from an exchange that I had with a friend via DM that I think is like pretty pertinent whenever it comes to these protocols, right? So first and foremost, if all of these stream houses don't already, and I suspect that they don't, they should have a cybersecurity consultant on retainer, right? And this should be a long-standing relationship. This should be a cybersecurity team that is heavily familiar with the system that they have in place, with the security measures that they have implemented in order to ensure that the information is protected. And this should be somebody or a team of people that they can engage with immediately for evidence collection, for protection procedures, to get the videos pulled, to get the decks sequestered, to get the system itself kind of like frozen in place, to get any log that is created from said system, all of this stuff, right? This is all critical to go out to a third party. And that's what we're demanding of Hustler now. But we're not going to end up getting that because they didn't have these protocols already in place. They don't have a cybersecurity team that they are that they have some sort of relationship with, right? Like they're scrambling now to find one, which means that they didn't follow these protocols. It's highly unlikely that they have the decks pulled and sequestered and, you know, in an evidence bag somewhere. It's highly unlikely that they were able to pull logs from the system and ensure that nobody else has touched it. Matter of fact, it's impossible because they kept running their fucking stream using the exact same software, right? So now, if there was a breach of security in the system, they've continued to project said breach out and subject everybody else to these methods. Now, you could say like, okay, well, we removed the potential cheats in Robbi and anybody else that's suspect. Like, okay, fine, but that doesn't make you secure, right? And that's the issue that I think that we're addressing here. That's what Melissa's speaking to as to why we are so incentivized to get to the truth of this matter, the crux of what the hell went on here, right? And maybe at the end of the day, the system proves to be completely secure. There proves to be no breach, and Robbi proves to be completely innocent. And that's great if we do that. But it still should escalate the security measures that are taken for these stream houses, every one of them. And I screamed this when possible happened, and I'm just as guilty as everybody else that I forgot. I forgot to continue to hold people to a higher standard. And I forgot that nobody's going to change just because of 2 weeks of bad press.
I mean, this happens a lot, right? Once the news cycle dies or something else comes along, we move on to that and we forget to, you know, to change something or do something that why we started this in the first place.
Right. So I think if we take a look at Hustler's announcement as far as like the protocols that they're going to follow moving forward, I think that these are worth, I guess, discussing in the sense of they exist, but to what degree is this helpful? So they put out a statement. I read this on air last week. They basically said, and I said this is the right statement to make for sure. It's just a matter of, you know, what's the execution going to look like? So they said, High Stakes Poker Production is in the process of retaining experts to conduct a thorough and independent investigation of the hand involving Garrett and Robbi. Okay, stop. That means they didn't already have this relationship, right? That means that they haven't coordinated with a cybersecurity team ever to set up their stream, which is, and this is the point I tried to make whenever we segued into this, so negligent. $3.5 million on the table, right? We've seen the biggest cash games ever run in America on that stream and on PokerGo. And there's a massive difference in security between the two. And even PokerGo, who I'm confident because of Nevada Gaming, does have very strict protocols in place as far as how to secure their system. I am begging them, if they don't already, to follow some of these follow-up protocols as far as if and when something goes wrong, right? Don't scramble. Don't turn it into a PR cover where we just have to entrust that you're handling it internally. Because what we don't want is another Stone scenario where it's a quote-unquote internal investigation that we get no details on, and it's a private entity, so that's ultimately what we're going to end up getting, right? We have to be able to have a sense and peace of mind as players. And I mean, like, you know, now that I zoom out and think about it, it's like, it's so fucking crazy what's going on, guys. Like, streams are just popping up out of the woodwork in Texas where people, their experience with this technology and running stream games goes so far as to they've played on one before, or they spoke to Andrew Milner in Australia and purchased his hardware. Like, this isn't it. You know, like, imagine that this was your bank's security for online banking, right? Like, oh yeah, well, we started a website and it has a secure login, and that's it. That's enough. You know, like, your funds are safe with us, right? Like, we take on so much unnecessary asymmetrical risk as players, as gamblers, as speculators, right? We do it in crypto too. We allow it to be the wild, wild west because we don't understand all the inner workings of what happens in the background. And we're so used to traditional structure where cybersecurity is paramount, right? Any traditional entity that you're doing business with that's on the up and up, that has licensing through the SEC or the Better Business Bureau or whatever governing body oversees them, we know cybersecurity is paramount for them, you know, because they will be attacked. The hackers, like, attempt to get into the CIA.
Yeah. Have, I'm sure.
Right. Like, finding a breach in the Hustler Live that allows somebody to win a few extra 100,000 is not that much of a reach.
Right. Like you said, like, if any, like, if you have this kind of system and, you know, it's not that you have the motivation to do it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, someone's going to want to and probably try to do it. And that motivation is sitting there and $3.5 million on the table.
So the next statement was, while we always have had confidence in the security of our technology and the integrity of our staff, we take the allegations very seriously and understand anything is possible. Again, I pointed this out before, but, like, you shouldn't have confidence. And that's the problem. That arrogance is what's led us to this, because the confidence that you have is basically that you can turn on a switch and your machine will run. That doesn't align with security at all. The confidence in security comes from a cyber security team that specializes in this. Like, I understand these systems through and through, and I don't feel confident that personally I could build one from scratch and say, like, this thing's bulletproof.
Yeah, like, I have some experience, right? We run the academies here, so, like, I've dealt with this technology, and I think about, like, the water bottle situation where, there could be an RFID reader in the water bottle. But then I'm like, well, how would that actually work? Because the deck is registered to the server that they're using, and if they had that reader, they wouldn't be able to, like, they wouldn't know which card is what, right? Is that correct, Burr? Like, how would you, like, if right? Because if
the cards,
if they didn't actually register the cards themselves, just bringing an RFID reader in there is not going to help you. But this is my limited knowledge of how this works. Maybe there is a way that I'm unaware of.
Yeah.
And so, like, I would say, there's no way that they could do that. But I don't know, because I'm not a cyber security person, right? So then maybe when they say, yes, this is secure, but they don't have that, it's the arrogance that you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, personally, like, I'm doing a lot more digging too, because when I researched this for Postle initially, my understanding of RFID technology was that the scope of it was very limited. Like 6 inches to a foot. But as I'm doing more digging, that may actually be incorrect, or there may have been advancements in RFID tech. And, like, as far as the system in place, you would have to register the cards, but I don't know that applies to all general RFID, right? So, like, I'm trying to learn more. I'm trying to see what type of technology is out there. Trying to buy a couple of these things to see if we can test it ourselves. And potentially, I mean, we have the whole system downstairs. So it's like, if I can set up a cheating mechanism downstairs where it may not even involve me going into the back end and hacking the server or anything like that, I just am able to set something up where it just takes a device reading the deck. The water bottle seems like a pretty good place to start.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, I mean, the statement by Hustler, PR-wise, I think it's correct. I think they're doing everything that they could now. I think that they're taking all the right steps now. I want to keep shining a light on this for the same reason why we beat the Ali and Jake thing to death as well with online poker. It led to significant change. Like, will the Integrity Council be our saving grace? I don't know. But it's a step in the right direction.
Better than nothing.
Like, these companies and operators are under higher scrutiny, so we are expecting less RTA moving forward. And I think the exact same thing needs to be happening when it comes to the stream houses. Like, guys, these streams, I've said it a million times, and I'm saying it knowing full well that I'm going to continue to play on them because they're the only games that I have available to me.
This week.
Yeah. But they are just simply vulnerable. It's not that they're not safe. I don't want to use that language because that implies malice on behalf of the stream houses, and that's not the case. They're just vulnerable. And there isn't enough being done at the operator level to make them less vulnerable or, you know, to the degree of industry standard, let's call it. And I would use like PokerGo as the industry standard, right? So I mean, that's personally where I'm at. What do you guys think? Do you guys have any specific thoughts on security or why it's worth our time even going into this?
I think it's worth saying that not all like hacking or cybersecurity issues are just technology based. Like a lot of when I was more like looking into crypto stuff, a lot of the times the ways servers would get hacked or, you know, malicious links getting sent out were because of a breach from like them just socially engineering their way into
Right.
secure things. So I think like it's not always gonna be like some Inspector Gadget toy or something. Like I think that there's a lot of security breaches and probably most of them happen from simple social breaches.
Yeah. I mean, you know, we kind of spoke about that of same thing with like the robbery that happened in Texas and things of that nature. It's like you can create as much security around something as possible, but you know, I spoke at length about this when an inside job is not only the most probable way that something occurs, but it's also the easiest way that something occurs, then your protocols are off, right?
Yeah.
So the person being looked for in the robbery at the lodge, there's video of him just loitering or just like casing the place, waiting to follow somebody out, basically, right? And you know, like I consider that an inside job. I know that maybe the true definition of it means that somebody on staff was involved in it, but I'm just kind of speaking to the mechanics of your business. When somebody can infiltrate it, whether they're a patron or a worker, and very easily take down your security measures simply, it means that your security measures are weak, right? And that's going to be true of stream games. That's going to be true of you know, these card houses that are not licensed like casinos are and don't have the same level of security that a casino would, don't have the same monetary system in place that makes it very challenging for people to rob, you know, your chips or whatever, don't have the same security on site, whatever. That's gonna hold true for, you know, like Melissa said, going into the crypto space and stuff like that. The reason crypto is so fucking vulnerable right now is because you could just get into a Discord and get chummy with the right people and then take down their entire system, right? So it's like, it's on us. We all are, I shouldn't say we all, but like this space is new enough where entrepreneurs are setting out and they're creating their own little niche and they're popping up businesses that fill needs. They're popping up a stream house. They're popping up a card house. They're popping up, you know, whatever the case may be. And we don't have the layers that you would see in traditional spaces, right? You don't have the relationship with a cybersecurity team. You don't have the relationship with, you know, an investigative team that will come in and suss out whatever cheating is taking place or whether or not they're, you know, you're left to scramble the way Hustler is now. And it's unfortunate because like you know, Ryan has built something between Live at the Bike and now moving to Hustler that I kind of said this before. It's like, it's bigger than him now, right? Like it's bigger than I think he could have ever imagined. And at some point, you know, when you start up small, you don't expect it to have this level of growth. And then when you're there, you forget about all the steps that you skipped along the way just to get the thing off the fucking ground, right? Well, now we're to a point where it's massive and there's just infinite money in play and it's very vulnerable.
How separate are like the actual live stream from the Hustler Casino itself? Because the Hustler Casino has to have
some liability.
Well, maybe some liability, but also
It's a good question.
Do they have like a cyber team themselves, right? For the whole casino,
Right.
For they do a lot of business, they do a lot of transactions, I'm sure. So they want to be secure. So like, why can't that be passed down to the stream to make sure the stream is safe as well? If they're already doing it
I think Hustler will take on the responsibility of traditional gaming security, so like cameras, transactions at the window, all of that type of stuff.
When it comes to the game itself and the stream itself,
when it comes to the technology,
that's just on Ryan and Nick.
They're just licensing the technology through high stakes production.
So it's just the production team is separate from everything else.
For what it's worth, I wouldn't want them to be doing the investigation or looking over anything right now anyway. I'd want an outside party to be doing.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but Brian's kind of implying that they would already have protocols in place.
Right, that's what I mean. I'm just saying that, like, if, we talk about, the higher security being more expensive.
Right.
Well, if it's coming from the actual casino, then that could be
split the cost with them,
split the cost. Yeah, right, exactly.
I think Conrad got an email from one of our chat members. I just saw him in there, but...
Grit Poker.
Yeah, Grit Poker. Shout out to him. He says, I'm certified in cybersecurity. I have the CompTIA Security Plus certification, also currently studying for Certified Ethical Hacker version 11. And he gave us a few points that we can discuss, and I think they're all very valid. He said, first and foremost, can't 100% say cheating or 100% innocent. Totally agree with that. I think like the jury's completely out on this. He said, I tend to lean with Doug Polk. Something's fishy, not on the up and up completely. That's my instinct too, but it's more so in the sense that like I just feel like Robbi and Rip are lying. I haven't, having gone through the hands, I haven't seen anything extremely obvious or stand out to me. There have been little moments, right? Like I've seen the vibrating waistline. Go ahead.
I think the vibrating thing is so dumb, man. She's shaking her foot.
I'm telling you, I've watched it 100 times. You can watch her legs, and they are as still as fucking can be.
And he's gonna do it tonight.
This is shaking,
when he plays.
And my legs are still.
But that's not what it looks like.
I mean,
She's leaning forward like this,
yeah,
and her midsection just pulses.
Why would you have a device that vibrates?
Right,
you don't need anything that vibrates that strongly that's going to shake your whole body.
Yeah, I agree.
It could be something like a nervous tick, right? So she's nervous, and then she does this.
I think there are things to look at.
No, like you don't understand. Like you can watch. You can literally watch. It's so.
How can you possibly?
Well, you can't see
from that.
I mean, you're very far away, but if you get close up, you can stare. So there's actually a Pellegrino water bottle, so you can kind of see that green dot.
Yep.
Through the listen to me.
Sound like Alex Jones.
Just listen to me. Right. You can see that green dot through the open area that would be by her left leg. If you focus on that dot, you'll see that her left leg never, ever changes planes. So like it's not that leg shaking, and you have very clear sight of the right leg. It's just abundantly clear that something is causing a vibration. Yeah. I'm not even saying it's necessarily a foreign object. Maybe she was flexing. I don't know.
Right, because you can
also just be shaking.
You can shake your torso without moving your legs.
Yes, but you shake your upper half if that happens.
Like this?
You're doing the Harlem shake.
Yeah, watch. Yeah. I mean, what? Her boobs don't move.
I just think that there's things to look at. I think that one makes the rest of the things you look at seem silly.
It's not a one-off. It's not a one-off though. We saw it 3 different times.
Yeah, but people their bodies shake when they're nervous. Like,
I ain't never did the Harlem shake when I was nervous.
I just think that to say that she had a vibrating device that was set on such a strong vibration that her entire body and chair would move.
That's what is weird, right? Like if you have a vibration device, it's like it'd be like your phone. Right?
So
like
she
your
phone vibrates, your body doesn't vibrate with it.
That's not going to shake a whole chair.
Right, but it doesn't necessarily have to be her phone.
People are saying, oh, but if she had a vibrating thing in her vagina, she would move like that. No, she wouldn't. No, trust me. I would know. You don't, I think it's so silly. Every time I hear this vibrating thing, I'm like, come on, man. Like there's other things to look at that are way more plausible.
I was pretty critical of it, but if she were using a remote EMS device, it would cause like that level of contraction.
Why?
Have you ever had electric muscle stimulation?
Why would she use that over just a simple vibrating thing that doesn't shake your entire body?
Well, you would have to name what the other vibrating thing is.
Like an electronic device that vibrates any type.
Right, but like we have to be able to hide it on her person, and it has to be remotely
It's
controlled.
very easy to hide a vibrating device on a woman.
Yeah, no, I understand. I mean, I think I
It just
understand
is
where you're
like
going.
seems so silly
vibrating
to me.
panties or something like
it
that?
seems so silly that you would choose something that shakes your whole body. I just think that's not what's going on there.
Yeah, I mean, it very well may not be. It's obviously just a theory, but it's certainly inconsistent with a lot of other aspects. And I would say that there's a couple other things like the side shot where it does appear that there's something on her her right hip that's rectangular in nature. Anyway, the other things that he said were Andy's comments in real time that there's no cheating is not healthy. He obviously doesn't know that. It's naive to say that immediately. I think Andy's walked that back since. So fair criticism. Anonymous hacking collectives can penetrate corporations. A small IT infrastructure, such as a high-stakes poker production, is very, very easy, which I agree with. I don't know shit about hacking, and I can show you the vulnerabilities in the GFX system very easily. This stuff I think is probably a little bit too technical. And then finally he says, the last two things he says, Hustler needs to hire a legit firm with 5 to 10 years experience who have white hat pen testers. Completely agree with that. Like if you're going to bring in a cybersecurity firm, like they should be very experienced and understand what it is that they're looking for and what they're looking at. And then finally he said, we must not be closed-minded and completely rule out that hacking is a possibility. Saying immediately that it's impossible is naive and unhealthy to the investigation. It may accidentally allow foul play to go unnoticed. And that's the biggest, most critical point that I wanted to touch on today. Like the conversation I want to have is like the last thing that we want to come from this is that nothing changes when it comes to the procedures at stream houses. Mm-hmm. Everybody's asshole should be puckering right now if they run a stream. Every one of them should be taking a hard look in the mirror and saying like, am I completely bulletproof secure? And do I have protocols in place for if there is a breach of security? And I know for a fact the answer across the board is no. Positive of it.
Has to be no.
I'm just positive of it. Like I'm positive based off the Postle situation. I'm positive based off of this situation. And I'm positive with who I know is like basically at the top of each of these individual streams, right? So PokerGo is the only place where I have the utmost confidence that they are secure. And again, I don't want to take credit away from them, but it's largely because they have to adhere to guidelines that Nevada Gaming has put in place. Like they have an armed guard standing outside of the peak room. That's a lot different than, just a fucking computer thrown into a closet in a casino somewhere that's holding the most critical information that the stream has to offer. Chin, you there?
He's faced
Yeah,
out.
I mean, I agree with all that. That's why we're gonna watch all these hands tonight. Like, yeah, I agree. Like I don't want to say that Hustler was negligent because I don't think they put in a lot of work into their stuff.
You just don't want to lose seats.
No, I mean it's not even about that. I just think that like they definitely look.
Negligence can come from ignorance for what it's worth. Like it's not always malice.
Look, that team had situations happen in other spots, like from Live at the Bike accusations prior. So they took those situations and they try to improve on what they were doing before. So I don't want to say that they didn't think of things. I mean, it's always an arms race, right? The bad guys are always ahead of the good guys.
Well,
like,
no. In this instance, I'm going to push back because nobody corrected for the imperfections in the GFX system post Postle. So we are 3 years removed.
How do we know that for sure, though?
Because they're still using the GFX system.
Okay, so this is something someone said that I actually agree with, where Ryan Jones in the chat said if Hustler claims their security is solid, why not invite some hackers and put a bounty on their system being hacked, run a mock game, and the first hacker to break in gets paid.
This is what crypto companies do all the time. Yeah,
I feel like that is a good idea.
Right, they're like, test our code. Like if you can find a breach, we'll pay you $100,000 or something.
I think to the point Berkey's saying, do you know how fast that competition will go in general?
Yeah,
like that would be a 30-second competition and it would be over.
Right.
That's a good thing.
Well, I mean, to be fair, it wouldn't be, because I'm basically speaking out loud all of the things that you would utilize to cheat. And though they may have been sloppy in the past, they would be overly critical if we were running a stress test. Right. But yeah, stress testing is a thing.
What we're saying is, but that would apply also to PokerGo. Like if we put a bounty on PokerGo's head, they probably also would fail. Like it's unfair to hold PokerGo to this massive standard and then kind of shit on everybody else.
I doubt.
Well, I'm shitting on everybody else because PokerGo does not use the Poker GFX system. Nobody upgraded after Postle.
Right. So you're saying
that's negligence.
That's the problem is the actual software. The system itself.
Yes. When the owner of or the creator comes out and says this was never meant to be developed as a corporate product.
Right.
And this was never meant to be utilized the way it's being utilized. This was for fun, for people to use in their home games. He is effectively coming out and saying, you all have to do better. Yeah. My system has its limitations.
Yeah.
Period.
Right.
Right? And everybody just chose to ignore. And that's fine until something like this happens.
Nobody's moving to a custom because it's just too expensive?
It's expensive as fuck.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what PokerGo paid to customize their software.
It's literally building from scratch, right?
Yeah. I would guess it's probably like a $50,000 system if I just had to ballpark it.
That doesn't sound like that expensive at all.
Poker GFX is $1,600 a year.
I know, but
less. Actually, way less. It's $1,600 out the gate to get all of the hardware, and then it's like a $300
pro license too.
Yeah. It's nothing. I mean, it's free.
Right.
Yeah. It's like
it's for friends.
Right. Well, yeah, not the pro version, but yes. Yeah, so I mean, it seems like, when there's millions of dollars on the table, having a $50,000 one-time kind of cost.
Sure.
For the peace of mind. I mean, it's not full peace of mind, right? Like nothing's foolproof, right? But if what you're saying is it's so much better than the current system, then it seems like it's almost a no-brainer to do it when you're running these big of streams.
Yeah, I think that, and I understand Christian's point where it sounds like I'm being very hard on these stream houses, and I like all of these guys. I'm friendly with Ryan, I'm friendly with Nick, I'm friendly with Wayne in Houston. I've played in the Texas live streams.
Right, you're coming from a point where you just want it to get better. You just want everything to get better.
Yeah,
that's you're not
friends
you're not
or not.
To, right.
I have zero interest and zero motivation, even if it costs me seats, to promote negligence moving forward. And this is a point that I want to be critical of. Negligence does not mean malice. Negligence can come from ignorance, right? Now, I do think that if we're claiming ignorance in this instance, you turned a blind eye to something that was very obvious and was, broadcast throughout the community for 3 years. But it's also because nobody's overseeing it. Nobody's going down there and checking and scrutinizing the system and stress testing it and seeing and we as the community don't have the option to do that, because if we do and get caught, then we're cheaters. Right. So it's not it's
unless they're allowing you to do it, something that Melissa
correct. But it's I couldn't go down there with what I think is a cheating system, and then when I get caught, just say I just wanted to test your vulnerabilities, bro.
Yeah, no. Well, obviously
I'll give the money back.
I mean,
maybe that's what happened.
Yeah, Robbi gave the money back. She's I was just testing it. Here, take the money back.
A white hat hacker.
She's the hero in all this. She was trying to point out the vulnerabilities of the system.
So I do want to bring this conversation back. I kind of want to get Melissa's final thoughts on this, because this is the second narrative. I spun this into the narrative that I want the community to push, but the real narrative that's going mainstream is the one that I really would like to have a deeper conversation on, and that is that this is some sort of misogynistic male versus female power dynamic.
Yeah. Well, so the mainstream narrative seems to be spoiled stats bro poker guy gets mad because woman outplays him when he only has 8 high and she has jack high, so she calls with the best hand and he's mad that she made a good play. That's like the
Why you mad, bro?
That's like the mainstream narrative, which is just like, there's just a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, I have a lot of people with check marks in my mentions that say, well, he was fucking around with 8 high. What did he think was going to happen?
Oh my.
And it's
Right.
like, well, I mean,
It's hard. It's like, where do I begin?
right.
I don't think I do. I think it's a waste of. I can't begin there. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Stuff like this is always going to get spun into.
The hand is so absurd, right? It's so, for people that understand poker, the hand is so absurd that it wouldn't matter that if it was a woman or a man, or
But
like I said, if it was Rip with the hand, right? And I'm just using him as an example because he's tied to her, right? But if it was him with the hand and that happened,
Yeah.
I think we're all looking at this from every which way the same way we are with her.
If it was Rip, Garrett would have yoked his ass up. Wouldn't have.
That almost happened anyway. I think so. This is speaking to the misogyny angle and everything else. I think this is one of those instances where it's like I hear what they're saying and I understand it, but by and large, the overwhelming narrative is in favor of Robbi. So yes, of course she's going to deal with and I'm not saying that like in a simplified version or lightly. She's going to deal with the idiot trolls that comment on her looks and comment on her intelligence and all of these things.
We're not saying there's not misogyny out there.
Correct.
Of course there is.
Correct.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that she is overwhelmingly being supported, not torn down. So I don't understand the focus of across the board, as far as I can see, people who are digging into this as professionals that are trying to scrutinize what happened and get to the bottom of it are not wasting any time or energy whatsoever in the gender dynamic aspect. Right. And so I don't understand all of the desire to speak out with regard to the fact that there are shitty people on the internet that are criticizing her looks or saying that this, or dismissing that this could be a legitimate thing based off of logic, whereas the counter argument is, well, male logic doesn't apply to her in this particular instance because she thinks differently. Like I've seen a lot of that thread line taking place. It's like, okay, maybe that's true. Good.
What is male logic?
I don't know.
I was gonna say, what the fuck is that?
I don't know, but I've seen a lot of rhetoric of course you as a male can't understand what she was thinking because you don't see the world through her lens. Like you don't know what it's like to be in that spot as a pretty woman. You don't know what it's like to be in that spot feeling bullied. You don't know what it's like. And I think that's true.
Yeah, I'm sure there was
everybody has
an
their own
aspect
experience.
Of well, not even just a woman thing, but coming into an environment where you feel somewhat like an outsider. There's people who have seniority, quote unquote, there. That can be intimidating.
Yeah, so I guess I think that I understand the rhetoric. I get it, and I do think that it's valid, right? It is valid that Robbi's experience is going to be very different than my experience. Robbi's experience is going to be very different than Rip's experience if we're saying that they're both equal amateurs, right? What I don't understand is the twisting of the narrative to imply that it's only happening because Robbi is Robbi.
Yeah.
I would imagine with relative confidence that if this was a hand versus Rip instead, the narrative would be 80% in Garrett's favor that he cheated. Like I'm relatively confident of that. So I want to go the other route, right? So there's a lot of validating it as being a legit play because she felt this, she felt that. We can't understand what she was feeling, yada, yada, yada. Would you imply the same thing if it were Rip? If Rip called with Jack 4 off there and said, I'm just tired of you bullying me, man. I'm going to stand up to you. Rip, a big dude, right? Are we giving him the benefit of the doubt and saying, yeah, man, he had enough of the pro, ganging up? I in a million years, I don't think so.
Definitely less.
Like, and maybe there's just a double standard there. So, okay, I'll acknowledge it.
Yeah.
But then you have to acknowledge those of us who are interested in the truth don't give a shit about this aspect. We don't care about what was said because those are all, yes, they're data points worthy of consideration, but taken out of context, they're just noise.
Well, I mean, we do care in the way that, like, if she is innocent, this is probably what was happening.
Yes.
Right? This is what was happening. She was feeling intimidated, feeling bullied. And that is why she did make this absurd play.
I'm saying we don't give a shit in trying to reveal the truth because though it is a data point when put back into context, so once we have some empirical truths as far as like her play is consistent or it's inconsistent, right? Now we can bring that back into the fold and say like, okay, how does this align or misalign, right? But in a vacuum, taken in isolation, it's just noise. If she's cheating, it's going to be noise to throw you off of figuring out that she's cheating. If she's telling the truth, then it needs to be added in with context of things that will back her truth, right? We can't just take it at face value because it was spoken. That means, it truly means nothing. Humans are divisive.
Right.
So I think that's the strangeness to me of all of this is that we've spun it this way. And to be abundantly clear and fair also, these allegations are very serious in the world of gambling. Like being called a cheater is one of the most threatening things that can publicly happen.
Yeah. That was like when I was watching, like, I feel like anybody who plays poker enough would be like, I know how this looks, or, like there would be like some sort of worry about that there, but she seemed actually like confused at that part, which maybe lends itself more towards the not guilty side. Like it's just like, this is why I'm not even bothering like trying to spin my wheels too much on this, because like everything can be explained in favor or against.
Right.
Like, so it's just,
yeah, you can explain it away one way or the other.
Yeah,
for sure. And that's why, like, I think we have to look at actual data points, like where are the consistencies, where are the inconsistencies, and try to arrive to some logical conclusions. Now, I do understand that a lot of this narrative of almost portraying Robbi as a bit of a victim comes from the aspect of, well, if she's innocent, this is really fucking bad.
Yes.
And that part is true. But the can of worms is already open, right? So that part is true for Garrett to take into consideration. Yeah. And I'm sure he has. And that's why I say he is absolutely staking his reputation on this. Because if she is proven to be innocent, then there's going to be some level of hell to pay, right? But what I'm trying to say is that the can of worms is already open for us as a community who are trying to get to the bottom of potential bad behavior or nefarious behavior in the game. It's on us to scrutinize this. It's not on us to treat this with kid gloves and empathize with her or sympathize with her, right? Like, none of us are out here calling her a cheater.
No.
We're just not letting the story die.
Right.
And that sucks for her.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, I was just going to say we've all remained pretty neutral, and I think we're all kind of in that middle part where maybe we sway one way, maybe we sway the other way with the more stuff that comes out. But like, no one's on, especially on this podcast, is saying like 100% one way or the other.
Right.
So don't sue us in the metaverse.
We're taking. Go ahead, Jen.
I just want to chime in real quick. So the odd things that. Sorry, I'm in hands at the same time. But the odd things is that it's odd that she gave the money back in both ways, right? So if she's a cheater and she gives the money back, it feels odd for a cheater to give money back, right? Fine. But then also, if she just made the sickest call of all time, it's also odd that she gives the money back because you have in both ways, you have no incentive to give the money back. Now, and I've been back and forth on my position on this, but the more I think about it, it's like, well, what if she felt like she got caught and now she returns the money in an effort for us to no longer look into what's happening.
Yeah.
Right. She retains her seat for future streams and continues the efforts of cheating in a more elaborate, better sophisticated way. So that to me feels as if the only real incentive to give the money back is for us to like stop looking, right? Because Garrett sits down, we move on with life, and the whole thing continues. That's the only thing. But I think, like you're saying, like we shouldn't care who she's fucking. We shouldn't care if like her looks or whatever. Like whatever, man. Like that's not really what we're looking for. And I think, like you're saying, like that is a distraction. I think what we need to find is like why she's gave the money back, which I think my reason might be interesting, and then look at like her hands, which were not done, and we have to keep looking at tonight.
Yeah, and to that point of we shouldn't care about all that other stuff. That's what I really wanted to emphasize is we haven't. Like nobody with a microphone within this industry. I mean, maybe Polk made some poorly.
Right, but he makes those comments about men too.
Fair.
So I don't know. It's sort of it would be weird if he didn't.
It's Polkian, right? But like my whole point is that it's not the poker community that's driving that narrative. Like, yeah, sure, it's the trolls, but like the people who actually give a shit aren't saying these things. It's the national narrative. Right? It's the post.
You can't control that though. And honestly, who knows if it would have even gotten national attention had it not been able to be spun into a gender issue.
That's true too.
Sure.
I mean, that's
honestly,
pretty much what the media
thing
does, right? They just promote like polarizing, divisive things. So why would they see a reason to promote it if they couldn't spin it that way?
Go, Jen.
I just haven't heard her say like straight up like I didn't cheat. Period. I haven't heard it. Like
I know it's kind of funny.
I haven't heard her say like, no, I didn't cheat. Period. Like that's it. End of story. But like, it's always like these like roundabout reasons of like what happened, and then also those roundabout reasons seem to change every day.
Right.
So it's just odd. Like it's really odd behavior. So yeah, I don't know. Let's just.
Yeah, I
mean,
mean,
just need to see these hands, man.
I mean, it's true. Like Melissa's point's very valid. BBC picks it up. The Washington Post or the New York Post picks it up. Like these major news streams pick it up, and every one of them, the headline is "Frat boy butthurt over little girl bluffing."
Over Garrett. Yeah. This is like I mean, I'm not like taking sides or anything. It's just that the fact that this has turned into like national news and he's reduced down to like crybaby frat boy.
Honestly, it's better than them referencing his Survivor appearance every single time. Like, and this guy was voted off the fucking island in
Survivor
minutes.
star butthurt over poker hand.
Right. They're like Survivor loser gets voted off after a woman throws all of their rice supplies in the fire. They still chose to vote him off first.
But anybody like the national news and anybody who doesn't understand poker at all, you can see how it looks to them, to the outsider, right? I think that's why we're trying to like point out what's really going on, because if you don't know anything about it, you're just like, wow, she just made a really good call against this. If you don't play poker.
Yeah, that's the hard thing for me to actually get into the mindset of, because I try as best I can to remember what it was like when I was a beginner, but and maybe there were urges that I had with like really shitty hands, but like, bro, we're really down on the pips here.
No, I mean, I don't know though. Like, I can probably go back in my poker tracker from like my very first hands played ever, and you will see I was doing a lot of floating with nothing.
Sure, but
there was a lot of floating with,
It's all the money went in passively.
Yeah.
With like we're down on the pips here. We're not like.
No, I'm not
ace high.
Right, but like if you're not into poker at all, or you don't play at all, they don't know.
I get what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
They really don't understand that Jack High is just it's never a call.
Right. Mason says, is there any pro who could take this line and make that weird call without Gary being wildly suspicious? Does he play out differently? No. I think the more professional a person is, the more likely this is just straight up cheating.
It would be funny, right? If it was Phil Ivey that did it, right? He never would because it just never would. But imagine if it was Phil Ivey played that hand the exact same way. There'd be a lot of people out there being like, he knows something we don't know.
I mean, he would have got a
right?
precise breakdown on why. Probably.
Yeah, it's like when he played that hand like way back in the day where he had 8 high and he check raised and the guy re-raised him and he jammed all in or something like. Obviously, he's jamming all in. It's different, but like there'll definitely be a handful of people out there saying like, wow, he really is the GOAT and he knows something we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, people would buy that narrative, I guess, but like it's really actually the whole line, like the whole body of work here. It's not just
the call,
the calling of the
back,
jet
and it's
it's the clicking it on the turn.
That's what I'm saying. The click on the turn.
I thought you said checking back. My bad.
No, the click back.
Yeah, like clicking it to call off is just
flop completely fine. Pre-flop kind of suspect. You're real, we want to get loose. Okay, flop seems reasonable.
Yeah. PO approved.
Click it, just fucking, min raising on the turn. It's like, what the fuck?
Right. Like, even if she had jammed, like, we wouldn't be digging into this.
Yeah.
No, right. Not at all.
It would be unfortunate because she would show up with, like, total nonsense, but, like, it would be very hard to think that she was cheating.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? We would say it. We would say it the same way we loosely say it all the times we see, like, weird shit happening.
Yeah.
Like Keating V-pipping 90%. It's like, bro, like, how did he break even this session? Like, but it's said in jest because, like, we understand variance. So much different. Like, it takes. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't want to make any accusations. All right, let's put a bow on this thing for the day. Christian and I are we doing this tonight, bro? Are we doing this?
Chin's ready.
Chin's been ready.
Chin loves
Chin's
that
grinding.
Shit.
What are you grinding, Chin?
I want to see her. I do want to see the hands. I need to see the hands because we're just speculating, right? Like, we need to find something, man. Like, let's fucking find something tonight.
The only thing you're ever gonna find here is a whole
go back
bunch
in the public records.
You're gonna just find a whole bunch of pieces that you can just add up to tell a story. That's all you're ever gonna get here.
Chin's
I agree with.
Chin's right. We did exhaust the speculation. Now we need more to speculate on.
Kind of true. I mean, I got my point across. Like, I said this on Twitter today, and I meant every word of it. Like, I am going to do everything in my power to try to find a way to hold stream houses more accountable to a more standardized level of security, like a higher level of security. I don't know what that entails yet. I think I have like some pretty good frameworks from people who are in the cyberspace, but also we're so limited on the actual streaming tech here, right? Like,
let me ask you guys a question.
Good.
So say she cheated, right? And I don't know anything about this and how this works.
Yeah.
So say she cheated. Garrett got his money back. Yeah. Right? But what happens to every other person that like was in hands with her? Are they just
probably
like
nothing?
Yeah.
Probably nothing.
Unless they're gonna like, send her an email. Hey.
I mean, here's the thing. We're talking about this and beating it to death, but like, there's no world in my opinion anyway. There's no world where we prove that she cheated in a more strong capacity than Postle. Like, to me, the proof of Postle is like 98%, 99%, something like that. And
because of all the hours of evidence.
Yes, and also, but my point is, nothing happened from that, right? Like, there was no repayment. There was, he just disappeared. I think like our goal here is to get to like 80% certainty one way or the other that she's innocent or guilty. I can't imagine we get past the 80-20 mark with this. We only have 11 hours of footage, barring a smoking gun. A smoking gun or a confession, yeah. But I hope I'm wrong. Like, I hope that like as the investigation churns out, because like here's the thing: if they do investigate and just find a Trojan on the server, that's different. Like we're 100% now, right? Like at that point, correlation does equal causation, and lights out.
Or if this lie detector test does come up something.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. I have my own opinions on lie detector tests.
No,
I think it's just kind of. I just think there's a lot of shit that's done for optics.
There's a reason why the lie detectors are not
admissible
in court because they're just not that reliable.
Yeah, that's the problem that I just have overall is so much is done for optics and we all fall for it, right? So like optically, they take your phone when you walk in. Optically, they segregate the area that has sensitive information from you. Optically, they put it on a 2-hour delay. And we just go, oh, what else are they supposed to do? You know, this is great. Same thing with the investigation. It's like optically it looks good to submit everybody to a lie detector test, but they're so fallible, right? One way or the other. So it is what it is. I hope. I don't think that this is going to be the end of stream poker. That's why I'm being so diligent, because I want to see everybody get fucking bulletproof. Yeah. Yeah, and honestly, they're the only games I can get in. So
yeah, exactly.
It'd be great if you guys could all do fucking better. Please. Any closing thoughts, team?
No. I hope I added some value to this podcast.
Oh yeah, by the way, can we talk about that really quickly?
No, we weren't going to do it.
I just want to mention Kessler tried to dunk on the Tortoise on Twitter and just got absolutely shredded.
Man,
the fans showed out for the Tortoise.
Thank you guys for jumping in the comments at my defense.
To be fair,
it was great to see.
I think it was less of loving you and more of hating Kessler.
Yeah, I know. It's whatever. I don't care. However they got to the conclusion is fine by me.
Couldn't agree more, man. Couldn't agree more. Kessler, you watch your fucking step, buddy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if you step on a tortoise again,
that's right.
Who knows?
He will run you down. Get your tortoises up in the chat. Shout out to everybody out there who's a member. We appreciate you guys. Please, as always, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think. What's your leading theory on all of this? I mean, we got a lot of them floating around. The vibrating midsection, the thing on her hip. She's just straight innocent as fuck and said, no, I got Jack High. I'm not going anywhere. How rich is she to put in $100,000 with nothing? Let us know. Let us know what your thoughts are. Not sure what Joey's plans are. I don't really want to overlap on him, but Christian and I do want to go over these hands. So there's a good chance we do a live stream this evening doing just that. We appreciate you guys so much for supporting us. Don't forget, if you are interested in the Academy, head to academy.solveforwhy.io. That's going to be in February, first week, 2nd to the 5th. Also, there's a new episode of Poker Out Loud out today on Solve for Why TV, so head to solveforwhy.io and check that out. It's going to do it for us, at least for the time being. There's a good chance that we see you tonight to go over more of these sessions, more of these hands. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, guys. We'll see you then.
Peace.